Hi, my name is Nicole Havrda, and you are listening to the F1 podcast.
What's up, everyone? This is Ricci from the F1 podcast. Hope you're doing well today. To start off, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for the support of season 3. Last season was our best year yet. We hit record numbers in terms of followers and engagement since we started this podcast in the summer of 2021. We also found a place to call home to watch Formula One races at Trinity Common, located in Kensington Market in Toronto. We hope to see you there with us as we kick off the 2024 F1 season on March 2nd to watch the Bahrain Grand Prix. To kick off season 4 of the F1 podcast, we interview Canada's motorsport racing driver Nicole Havrda. As a rising star in autosport racing, Nicole races in the highly competitive Formula Pro USA Series, Formula Regional Americas, and Formula 3. At the age of 17, Nicole was the first female driver to ever win the Formula Pro USA Western FR Championship. She has driven in open wheel and GT cars, and her goal is to make it to the top level of professional racing. She calls British Columbia home, but she also spends upwards of 200 days in a motorhome traveling to races. And now, without further ado, let's get to the interview with Nicole Havrda. Nicole, welcome to the F1 podcast, and thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So we're super excited to have the chance to talk to you today, kicking off season 4, all of that good stuff. Obviously, one of the big up-and-coming drivers, not only out of Canada, but I would say probably North America as a whole from what we were diving into. But we're curious to know, karting's a thing a lot of people hear of, maybe something that they've kind of done on the side, but to get you where you are, what interests you in getting into racing, or was there anyone in particular who kind of brought you along?
Well, so originally I wanted to be an Olympic swimmer, which was far from motorsports. All of a sudden, my dad brought me to a Formula One race, and it changed everything. Like the whole game for me, I fell in love with it. And what really changed for me was just watching Lewis Hamilton. He really brought me into the sport. Just watching him and wanting to be where he was right then in the car, basically. And I just wanted to get there. And so I just made my way through karting, and then now I'm in Formula cars. So it's just having these inspirations and just following the dream.
That's really awesome. Which race did you get to go to when you saw him race for the first time?
I went to the 2018 Austrian Grand Prix, which was
Oh,
amazing.
wow. On Red Bull territory, too.
Yes. It wasn't my favorite race to watch because both Mercedes had they DNF'd. I was kind of upset, but it was a good race to watch. Honestly, in my opinion, is I want to say the best track to go to because it's like a valley, so you can actually like sit on the sides on the grass, so you can see like the whole track. Like we saw the whole track, which is amazing, and we were just general admission, so it was really cool actually.
Did you find was it predominantly Red Bull fans, or did you find, was it a mix, or do you remember much from your first race?
Okay. It was, I gotta say, I want to say maybe like 70% was Red Bull fans. Because after the race, so Max Verstappen won, it was orange. Like you couldn't see anything. It was like crazy. We were just sitting there and they're like these orange fans. And so they're like very energetic and stuff. So they're just like yelling and there's so much happening. I was like, holy cow. But it was a lot of energy and it was really nice to see actually because you don't see that. I never saw that in swimming as a sport. So it's cool to see like the fans in motorsports.
You talk about the fan support, and I think that's during when like Drive to Survive, I think, was the first season coming out. And how have you seen the sport grow, and especially since like I guess 2020 when a lot of people started watching Drive to Survive, or how have you kind of like been seeing that growth in yourself? I know you have a huge social media following, but I'm just curious to see what it's like at the racetracks.
It honestly, like, even off the racetracks, it is crazy to see like the change from like just starting when I started go-karting in 2019, like competitively. It has changed like incredibly. I would go to school and I would tell the kids like, hey, I'm gonna be a race car driver. I do go-karting right now, and I'm gonna be a race car driver. And they were like, they didn't support me. They were kind of like, what is that? Girls shouldn't do that, and all this kind of stuff. And now I actually went back to school the other day. Everyone came to me and asked me like, hey, how's racing? Like, how was Lewis Hamilton, meeting him, and like all these kind of things. And they were just excited about it. And it's just changed that kind of the people. And with Drive to Survive being like such a huge thing, and it just blew up, like everyone knows about it, right? So it's gone crazy that to the point that even some of my old friends know about it. And it's just, it's grown like crazy. And even with social media, especially social media being a huge thing, I remember when I started, it took me a few months to get 100 followers. And now I'm at like almost 40,000 followers, which is crazy. And I can't even believe it. I could never imagine being at this many followers. And, you know, even at the track, seeing the fans and like seeing how much it's grown from, I remember karting, you wouldn't see many people at the track. Nowadays, you see so many like fans and families and like just a lot more people.
I feel like I even just think about growing up, like it was rare that you heard of someone karting, and I didn't really get it either. Like I think I had a friend whose brother, I don't even know if he raced like competitively or if he just went to the track a fair bit, and I remember being like, who does this? So it's definitely, I mean, I have friends now who are signing up for like adult leagues for racing and stuff because they're so excited. So it's cool to see that you're even feeling like the impact and the recognition when it's not just like the major events, right? Like even for the up and comers coming into the sport to get more support. So that's really exciting. But you mentioned Lewis Hamilton there, which was really cool. We saw that you actually got a chance to kind of meet him, like the person who inspired you to get into racing a little bit more and stuff. So how was it? Were you a little starstruck to have that opportunity?
How did that like come up in the first place too?
So it originally started because I was part of a documentary. So when I was in karting, and they just called me up randomly. They actually called my dad, and he was at work, and they just called him, and he had this is a really bad story, but it's funny. And so they called him up, and this guy's like, hey, we're with Mercedes, and we want to do a documentary with your daughter. And my dad's like, yeah, sure. And he hangs up. And so he had a really bad customer that day at work. So he actually made a coffee and he put some like Baileys in it. So he put his legs on the table. He was super like mad that day. And so they called him again and he was like, okay, yeah, let's hear it. And so they were like, yeah, yeah. And then he was like, are you kidding me? And so that happened. And then the documentary kind of features like women racing. And so there are three of us women in the documentary, and it will be coming out soon. It should be coming out. It might be aired in the Montreal Grand Prix with Mercedes-Benz. So it'll be kind of cool this year. So it was highlighting, like for me, it was highlighting from go-karting to an AMG GT4 car, and then Formula 4, and then Formula 3. And then, so I actually got, with that documentary, it was worked with Mercedes-Benz. So Mercedes was like, okay, let's go to the F1 Grand Prix in Montreal and let's put you with Lewis Hamilton on TSN. So it was kind of like a whole connecting thing, which was really cool to see. The whole Lewis thing was like insane. I was like, we were in the hospitality suites in the paddock, and I was sitting with Kayla. I was already like in shock with Kayla. I was like, oh my God, it's actually Kayla Gray. And then, so she's like trying to calm me down. She's like just reading over questions and trying to be like, just be normal around him and stuff. And we went to sit down at the desk where we're gonna do the interview into the AMG F1 like hospitality suite. I was already starstruck, and we were sitting there, and I was like, oh goodness. And so he walks in. I have on my leg, I had the microphone attached. I almost tripped saying hi to him as I shake his hand. And so I'm shaking his hand and I'm like, is it really you? Like he just, I don't know, I could never picture him in person like that close. So I was like, oh my goodness. It was just such a nice talk, like just talking and chatting, and like it was more like a personal thing because we talked about like our dads and stuff, and like how much like they help us in racing, and just we kind of went over the time limit. It was supposed to be 30 minutes and it turned into an hour, and it was a nice talk. So he's turned very humble from like when he was younger. He's turned very humble now.
Yeah, he strikes me as a very genuine person. Like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it too. Every time he finishes a race, he's always taking the time to like thank the folks at the factory and everyone behind the scenes too before he even like dives into a post-race interview. And that's cool that you actually got to see that in person when you were having your conversation with him too, and not just the stuff that we like see on camera and TV.
Yeah, no, exactly. And just seeing like, just as you said, like being genuine, and that's kind of part of racing. You gotta you gotta respect the people around you and like also mention it, because like sometimes I even won't like say it out loud, and I should more like kind of show how much I respect and like how I'm happy for these people around me. And like it's crazy to see like how much he's grown, because when he was younger he didn't do it much, but now he's doing it like every race, and it's like a big thing for him. And he's very nice. Like in person, he's just like on TV and stuff. He's just very kind of humble. Like I remember like seeing Max in the pits. Like he's more like, I guess you grow into it. You kind of mature, because Lewis is in the sport for so long, so he kind of matured into it. So it's just cool to see that happen.
And I think a lot of people would say the same thing to Sebastian Vettel when he first got into the sport and when he won those 4 straight titles with Red Bull. He was in a different era, and then once towards the end, you know, he got a lot more mature and realized that. And I think that was really awesome to hear that. I didn't get to see that on TV, so I'm kind of excited to see that documentary. I think on the inspiration piece, it's like for you, you talk about like kind of the next generation of drivers, and you know, Lewis was a big impact for you. As someone who is currently in motorsport racing, what would you want to tell the future generation of female drivers on how to get into the sport, and what advice would you give them?
Every time I see like a young girl at the track, I always say, just, you know what, just go for it. Um, if you don't go for it now, you're gonna regret it in the future. And like a lot of them are kind of, when I was younger, I wanted to be in school. I wanted to focus on this kind of stuff, have fun with friends and stuff. And now I kind of realize you have to focus on one thing to be the best at that one thing you're doing. So like, for example, for you guys, like if you make a podcast, you have to focus on that one podcast that you're doing. You can't focus on a podcast, a website, YouTube, all these kind of things. You gotta have your head straight. And like with racing, you gotta have your head straight and just focus on one thing you want to do and achieve in your life. And I think I'd say just at that point, just go for it, and just you can do it. I would literally just say that. Believe in yourself always. And with all the losses in racing that I've experienced and stuff, that's like the best part. That's you learn from that kind of stuff, and then you get back up and you get better, right? Instead of just dwelling on your losses.
Speaking about not just losses but wins, you won a championship at 17. What was that like?
It was in the moment. It wasn't like I was like, what just happened? Like that didn't just happen. Like that's crazy. And it was really special to win that weekend, because my brother actually came down, and it's actually so he actually flew down and he stayed with us. So it was in California, so we drove down from Vancouver, so it was pretty close. And so we stayed at the track in a motorhome. So all 4 of us were just in a motorhome, and it was really nice. And he was there to experience like me becoming a champion, and it was just a lot of energy and also emotions and stuff. And a lot of people ask me like, "Is your brother jealous of you? Like, does he ever like express like, I don't know, get mad at me or my parents or something for spending so much time or money with me?" And I always say, like, and I've asked him so many times, and he always says, "I'm so proud to have you as my sister." And he always, like, even to his friends, so we kind of have some mutual friends that are into like cars and like building cars and like drifting and stuff. So he's always like super proud to bring me and like talk about me and all this kind of stuff, because it's different for us, because we both love cars so much, because he's into a different side of cars. He's more into like drifting and building cars and this kind of stuff, like street cars. And it's we just, I don't know, we connect, I guess. So it's kind of, it was so nice to have him when I won the championship and all that kind of stuff.
A little bit more of the connection over the rivalry in that scenario then, which is nice.
Sure. And I think the biggest difference is, so he's 15 years older than me. So that's a big thing. So we never really fought when we were younger. We didn't really live in the same house when we were younger. So it's a little different for us. But it's just nice. We do so many things together. We go drift together. We just I swear, like everything we do, cars.
And I think I read that you spent like 200 days in a motorhome. Like, just is that true?
Yeah. So what is that? 2023, we did spend 200 days in a motorhome all together, 3 of us. And so the motorhome is not a big motorhome. It's 24 feet.
Oh, wow. Okay. So not the biggest of motorhomes for sure.
No. Because
Wow.
we have to drive down. And so we don't live in Vancouver. We live on Vancouver Island, so we have to take a ferry. And when we take a ferry with a big motorhome, they measure you by feet. So you have to pay like an extra, like, I don't know how much for every foot. So we
Oh my
wanted to
gosh.
have like the smaller one because we drive a lot. Like, I don't know how many times we drove to California, but just too many. And so it's easier when you have a smaller RV as well. And it's actually a good size for 3 people. It drives nicely, so even I drive it, and I wouldn't drive like a big motorhome. So yeah, that's why we have a small motorhome.
And
Who's in
it's
charge?
still bigger than most apartments in downtown Vancouver. It's sure.
Yeah, those. Oh my God, I was looking at it. Apartments are so expensive in Vancouver and Toronto. Like
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So you know what? You're making the financially smart choice on top of it. So
I guess if you have so much time in a motorhome, who gets in charge of the music on these drives? Like, do you listen to a lot of Taylor Swift, or like what is Nicole listening to on these long trips down to California?
Oh gosh, I gotta say, first it goes through cycles. I swear, like sometimes podcast, sometimes just yeah, Taylor Swift. Honestly, Taylor Swift. So we always complain that you can't have like chill beats or anything because we'd fall asleep because we drive 24 hours like straight. So you can't have someone falling asleep. Usually like upbeat like remixes or something. And then my dad, I don't even know why, he started listening to like some he came up with like BTS. Like have you heard of the Korean like pop band?
yeah, like I was
Yeah,
gonna say a little bit of
yeah.
K-pop going on there on the drive.
Terrible. I don't even know why. Like just one drive, like he came up with that. And I was like, we're not listening to this.
I can just imagine being like, you want to be focused, but not too focused. So you're picking something that's just going to be in the background, kind of whatever's going on. And sometimes it leads you to a weird place. Like that's just where it goes, right?
We can
Yeah.
assure you that our podcast is smooth flowing and it's a perfect drive. So if you ever need if you have to argue within the truck, just say, hey, you know what? F1 podcast. You got it for the next 24 hours.
There's no
Perfect.
BTS to be heard anywhere. So you're good on that front.
That's good.
But that's what you're listening to when you're driving places. But say it's like before a race, like you've arrived wherever it is that you're racing for the weekend. Is it still kind of like the T Swift and the same stuff, or do you have kind of like other music and stuff that you play as like a ritual beforehand to get in the zone?
Definitely more like we just kind of tried to find like some really like I don't know, like there's some good ones with like a meaning behind it. Like I gotta say like Eminem honestly has like a lot of meaning behind his songs, like especially like I don't know, like what are some good ones? Mockingbird's a good one, but it's a little like it's a little more sad, but like some really good like just upbeat, but as well as like a meaning that like go get it and don't like let it kind of sit back and just not do anything. So just like a lot of kind of motivational as well.
I like those. I feel like we use them. I think one of the old executives at my work used to do that in team meetings, and they'd have like the music with like some coach giving like a speech to his team ahead of time and stuff. And those were always one of the ones where
Yeah.
I'd leave and I'd be like, all right, let's go do this. Let's run and go. So I
Yeah.
definitely feel you on that.
I did summer school, 1 year, and 4 minutes before the class, they played Justin Timberlake 4 minutes
Oh
just to
my
kind of
gosh.
like just try to get you to the class. It's like 8:26 and you're just running. Question back mostly to racing. We've been watching some of your videos and your racing technique. Seems like you're comfortable with the inside move maneuver, but like what do you prefer? Do you like to go the inside, the outside, or whatever's like legal in the terms of racing? But when you're playing Formula One 2023, everything's fair, right?
Yeah, you spend it. You go for everything. You can go in the ceiling or the sky or whatever. I would say I had a really good move. It didn't capture it on video as well, but I had a good move. I went on the inside. No, no, no. I think I went, what was it? I went on the inside, and then I went on the outside in the second corner because I couldn't get him on the first corner, so I got him on the second corner. So I would say I like the switchback maneuvers. So a lot of just like playing with it instead of, like you do a lot of classic like kind of passes, just like going on the inside, which is very basic. But like the fun ones, where there's kind of I just like more like thought to the pass more than just going on the inside under the brakes and just kind of going for that.
Kind of more like reading the situation
Yeah.
than kind of sticking to like a racing line or something like
Yeah.
that.
Would you
Yeah.
describe your racing as like a smooth operator or?
A mixture of smooth operator and I don't know. It depends. It depends how I'm feeling. Like quali is not smooth. It's more just like fight for it, like because the rear end's always all over the place. When
Mhm.
you're like doing qualifying, like you're just honestly full sending it because you have only a few laps. But during the race, you're kind of more of a smooth operator.
We dig it. You get the best of both worlds on that one. So,
Yeah.
obviously we've got quali the races. Um, you've been in a couple different series now, and I think that's one thing people really don't know about racing is that there's so many different, even for not just open wheel racing, but so many different avenues that you can go. But if there was something that you really wanted people to know about racing in general that maybe they wouldn't know if they're just getting into the sport, what would it be?
Um, well, a lot of people mistaken this, and I always say I'm in Formula 3, but so how racing works is you got like FIA, Formula 1, Formula 2, and then Formula 3. And then you got the Formula Regionals, which is FIA certified, but it's more of like a regional in that country. So you got like Formula Regional, which is an F3 car in America, then the FR, like Formula Regional in Asia, then like kind of most countries have like these Formula Regionals, which is Formula 3. And I kind of would love people to know more about that because it's like, they always mistake and they're like, what is Formula Regional? Like, and I'm always like, just Formula 3, just go with Formula 3 because it's pretty similar. Of course, like chassis are all different, engines are different too compared to like FIF3, but I just really wish people knew more about that as well as like just kind of the sport in general. Like a lot of people think it's super easy. Like, who the heck told me the other day? I was like, I was talking to a person and they were like, "Oh yeah, racing's just so easy. You just sit in the car and you just drive." I'm like, come on, like this is on the Drive to Survive documentary and all this kind of stuff. You should know that there's like you have to go to the gym, you have to go on the simulator and all these kind of things. And it's like any sport. You have to work out for it. You have to get ready for it. You don't just sit in a car and drive. It's definitely not like that. And yeah, it's just people should, maybe research more, but as well as just realize that, I would say.
I can just imagine myself and what my neck would be doing pulling the G's in some of those turns and stuff. I don't think I'd be cut out for it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of G's and depends like I know like one racetrack like my neck would just like fall apart in this one corner. I would just be like holding on for dear life. So it's definitely a lot of work and always finding like what muscles you have to work out because they're like certain little muscles. It's not just like your bicep or whatever. It's like these little muscles that you have to figure out and work them out. So
And you probably have to go through so much like not just your basic training just to kind of just for racing, but like do you have like specific workouts or somebody that like as a trainer that used to work in motorsports that like helps you like navigate this and like also mind you like what about school too? Just like this is all kind of going through my head. I was like what was I doing at 17, 18? Definitely not this.
yeah, so speaking of that, I literally a few minutes ago I came back from my personal trainer. I always go to see him a few times a week. And he was more into he coached like a lot of acrobatics and stuff and gymnastics and these kind of things as well as like just basically any sport. So he helps me a lot and he is a different personal trainer. I had another personal trainer before him. They were telling me basically CrossFit stuff and I wasn't really looking to do deadlifts because that kind of destroys your back and stuff. So this guy, he more looks into like he's very good at like I don't want to say inventing, but like kind of creating like different like workouts for racing, because racing, like you can kind of like, how do I say, you can kind of like do exactly like that racing kind of structure like with weights. So like you can grab like, I don't know, a 10-pound weight and start steering, kind of like the basic things. And like he kind of like creates these really good workouts, and it's always as well as fun. Like sometimes like today actually we bought a gym, like gym equipment for our home, because he decided he's going to come here and he can work out at our house gym instead with me. And so we bought a lot of equipment and just trying to figure out like, all this kind of to make it fun, not like boring, because I remember I used to do another gym kind of thing, and it was kind of boring, and I was kind of bored of this kind of routine, and it was always the same. And so it's just kind of to make it more energetic and stuff. And it's kind of just, it's nice to have someone as well there instead of doing it alone.
I have to imagine when it's fun, it makes you want to go to that too. Because there's always like one aspect of a sport I find everyone doesn't love. Like, I know for me, it was always watching tapes after. I was like, oh my God, please no, I don't want to do this. Don't make me watch the tape. But if you can make it fun, it makes you like more keen to go to it. So that's awesome to hear. But, the gym equipment, the trainer, all that stuff, you're on the road a ton. All of this, I have to imagine, comes with a hefty price tag on it at times. What has that been like, trying to get, sponsorship kind of grow, like build and support this career as you're kind of taking off here?
It has been crazy, honestly. I gotta start by saying I have, I don't even know. I think I have 5 agents just looking full time for sponsors for me. And because we tried last year to do it kind of on our own and just kind of reach out to companies and stuff, but it's kind of, I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's really, it's really hard and time consuming and stuff. And my parents, they own a company, so they decide if they put more time into their company, they can get more money for racing, which my parents do sponsor me a lot. Well, I guess they, help out with racing and stuff. So they're a big part right now, but we're trying to switch that over to sponsors. So, it's like constant emails, like I don't even know how many emails I'm sending, just too many. It's kind of, taught me a lot like with money and stuff, because, I'm turning 18 literally tomorrow. So I was thinking, I should get a credit card, open up like to get credit scores and all these kind of things. And it's kind of taught me a lot with money, as well as like, some people say like, $10,000 is so much money, but then at the end of the day for racing, it's like nothing. 10,000 is like, I don't know, some tires, a few sets of tires. So, just kind of building from there. And it's just kind of crazy with the whole like budgets of racing. I was talking to one of my friends, he's been in racing for so long. And he's like, when he started racing, budgets weren't this high. And it's just crazy how much budgets have skyrocketed. Like teams are, just because their team name is this name, offering a seat for double the price it used to be. It's honestly just crazy. And if you don't have the connections, you won't really make it in racing. So we've kind of learned this a lot like over the year, especially this is kind of like last year was kind of like my first year in race cars. Like the year before that was kind of just testing and getting used to it and like doing a few races. But this was like the year just learning a lot and just realizing how racing really works.
We talk about, trying to get sponsorships and trying to kind of, build those connections and everything. I guess if we can open this more on a national framework, and what do we need to do to kind of make racing more, not just more competitive, but grow motorsports here in Canada? Like clearly Canada has had success in racing in a number of fronts. And, we do have an F1 champion who's won, Jacques Villeneuve, in 97, and like you, who's growing in the sport too. But we need to kind of invest in this. Like, what is your pitch?
That's hard because, you got Lance Stroll in Formula One. His dad is super wealthy, and that's kind of like where it starts. Like, you kind of need the money, which is a big part, as well as, for me, being Canadian, it's kind of sad to be constantly not racing in Canada. Like I'm doing this year, sorry, I'm actually doing one race in Canada. So motorsport, we're going to motorsport in, I don't know, June or something, which is really cool. They're finally bringing it to Canada. But the thing is, we don't have any tracks. Where am I supposed to go to? I can go to Portland, I can go to California. It's right next door, but there should be more tracks, but it's just the weather is ruining it. And then, so I live on this little island, just off Vancouver. And so we had, what is it? We had 3 racetracks. Of course, 2 of them were oval tracks, so speedways. And then one is like it's kind of like a members track. They don't really race on it. And so it's kind of, they started closing down tracks. They closed down one on the south end, which sucks because they just want to build some apartments, which really sucks. They just keep
Oh.
wanting to close down tracks. People are complaining about tracks because they're so noisy. And like, I'm like, come on, you have racers that want to race in Canada and show Canadians and stuff. And then you got people like closing tracks, and it's like, how is that helping? And it's kind of frustrating because I would love to race more in Canada and bring more people from Canada to be racers, but it's so hard when you have of course like a few tracks on the East Coast, but they're closed like most of the year. So
I'll give you a chance. Like, do you want to just maybe give more detail of that Canadian race and we can promote it ourselves on our social media? Make sure we get like a following out to come support you.
yeah, for sure. So I can actually get the date. It's the Formula Regional race. It's at Canadian Tire Motorsport Circuit.
That's in Bowmanville.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
near us.
That's
So
where
if you're in the
Boots.
GTA, come on
Oh,
out.
That's where the
wonder-
That's where Boots and Hearts used to be.
no way. Okay. It is August 29th to September 1st. So it's like going to be, oh, even better, it is supporting the IMSA race. So it's
Ooh.
so it's going to be super huge and it's going to be pretty fun. So there'll be a lot of people and hopefully it won't rain because, Toronto, it's kind of sketchy there.
Toronto, August? It never rains here. What are you talking about? I've never seen. No, I'm kidding. It always rains here in August. Yeah, so with that said, it sounds like 2024 is going to be very exciting. In your where are you hoping to go from here? Like you're doing these Formula Regional, the F3 stuff here, but where are you hoping that you're able to kind of like push the limit and get to for yourself long term?
So it really depends because it's kind of like on whatever opportunities come to me. Like the main goals, of course, like Formula One. But then there's as well as, there's also IndyCar, which is in America. And when you can get the funding, like it's so much easier in America because there's just so much more money. Like when you go to Europe, it's like impossible. So it's kind of, it really depends. Like I'd love to go race in Europe. I'm still working on some plans for this year to race in Europe as well as in the States. So we'll see how those go. And then just kind of trying to keep going, and because I know like I can always fall back. Like I got some opportunities to race in GT cars, but I never really wanted to go there yet because I still want to keep going in open wheels. So, of course, I can go to like sports cars and stuff anytime, but it's just to keep going and to not give up. Like, because nowadays I'm kind of seeing like, I don't have time to take a full-time job, so I don't actually go to work. I do part-time work sometimes at my parents' shop. So it's kind of thinking about, the future as well and not getting like sucked into like, oh, I'm not making this much money a month. Like, and then as well as like I still live with my parents and this kind of stuff and just kind of keep going with it and just of course like I'm not seeing the big money right away, but I'm hoping like something will come out of it and yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, we're pushing for you on that one because it'd be awesome to have not only like more Canadian representation on
Exactly.
the international stage. We're seeing so much investment in like women in motorsport too with F1 Academy, all that crazy stuff. So I've got my fingers crossed. I want that to happen. That would be so awesome. So
And it's always good to
hopefully
have
the documentary helps too, right? Like gets the name out.
I
So.
hope so.
and it's good that we can have like a local representation too. It's like, oh, she's from Canada, eh? Like, and she's kicking all the Americans' butts because we've seen some of your stats that you've been able to do. It's like definitely Max Verstappen levels with some of those wins.
Yeah, thank you. It's really cool being, from Canada because you have so many like proud supporters and stuff. Like I went to like a health store the other day and this lady was like, "Oh my God, is it really you?" Like because they're so like just proud to see like Canadians and us Canadians are very like, I don't know, I want to say supportive in a way, and like we kind of keep our community really close because I don't know what it is like. Personally, I'm raised in like a small town, so like we kind of keep our people close. So it's kind of nice seeing like, you know, just the support and stuff. So
Speaking about Canada, are we going to see you at the Canadian Grand Prix this summer?
I hope so. We're supposed to potentially, I don't want to give out anything, but potentially the documentary will release at the race. So they'll maybe have a campaign or something cool. So maybe I'll be there. We'll see. I really, really hope so.
So Andrew, Erica, and myself, we're going to be in the hairpin. I think Erica's second time, Andrew's first time, my third time. So we would love for you to come on out, and we can we're hoping to do some fan meetups. So we would love for you to be part of that as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Just let me know. I would honestly love to. I always struggle to find the best seat. We used to sit, once we went to the Grand Prix there and we sat in a chicane. You couldn't see much. It's just a little, it's just not much. And then the last year when we went with Mercedes, we sat, which was really nice. We sat in the Mercedes. They had like a hospitality suite for like their customers and guests and stuff. So we sat there, which was really nice. But you also just see like one corner. Yeah.
Just no. I had
Yeah.
friends who were by the finish line the other year, and they were like, really cool to be here for the celebration at the end. Don't actually see that much of the action go down from there.
No, you don't see much. The best, I got kind of spoiled from seeing Austria. So it's just a little hard when you're going to, Montreal, as well as, I'm sure, what is it? Las Vegas was the same thing. But it's all about the show. They do the show so well. Vegas, holy cow. That was insane. That looked crazy. I was not expecting that.
Nobody talks about the problems with Carlos Sainz and the drainage or anything. The fans, it's like they just threw that. They're like, that's nothing. Now let's just throw some glamour, and it's like, oh, okay.
All is forgiven. All is forgiven. Before we let you get off to the chaos that is 2024 coming up, we have some rapid fire questions for you. Just silly stuff like food, your hobbies, whatever. Are you ready to kind of just toss out whatever comes your way?
I'm kind of nervous. I don't want to say something wrong.
There are no wrong answers. No wrong answers here. But we'll kick it off. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Potentially.
Potentially. Okay. Favorite sport other than racing?
Skiing, downhill.
Nice. Favorite day of the week?
Wednesday.
Your favorite pre-race song to listen to?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, Wings by Macklemore is pretty good.
Oh. Ooh, excellent. I'm a big Macklemore fan. I hear that. McMuffin or McGriddle?
McMuffin.
Okay, nice. Follow up. Bacon. Bacon or sausage McMuffin?
Oh, sausage.
Oh, goodness.
You lose.
Sorry. This is something we fought over when we were putting this in before. So.
Oh no! What is it? Is it supposed to be bacon because I'm Canadian?
No, we were a mix. Some people were team bacon, some people were team sausage, and it got a little heated in the comments of our documents. You're making us 50-50. Cleary was team sausage, and Ricci and I were team bacon. So.
Oh no! It depends what I'm feeling though, because bacon's really salty sometimes. I don't know.
I feel that sometimes it hits the spot. But chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Favorite Hogwarts house?
I don't know. I don't really do the whole Harry Potter thing.
Yeah, who put this one in? I was like, I feel like a lot of people don't know.
Well, I put that in. I just figure with Hogwarts Legacy lately, people are playing the video game. I mean, yeah, well, whatever. Team Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo?
Oh, I love my PC.
Oh,
she's a real one. She's a real one. She's team PC. Jeez.
Yeah, because the program, like for racing simulators, is only on PC.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Favorite F1 driver?
Lewis Hamilton, or Leclerc for looks. Lewis.
I'm with you on that one. I'm with you there. And favorite track you've raced?
Oh, Laguna Seca.
Laguna Seca, nice. And dream vacation spot.
Okay, this one's kind of, I don't know.
Hit us with it.
Yeah, just go.
Monaco.
Yeah.
Oh, makes sense. Leclerc, yeah, okay.
It all gets put together, racing, you can drive there.
All comes together. And our last one, your favorite thing about Canada?
This one's taking a while. Oh, well, I mean, it's more of a West Coast thing because like the oceans, like our oceans are really nice. Ocean is really nice. And I love the lakes. The lakes are nice. The skiing too. There are too many. Okay, sorry. The landscape.
Nice. There you go. You're covering all the bases there. You got the mountains and the sea, all the stuff.
You're doing
Love
great,
it.
Nicole. Love it. Thank you so much, Nicole. It has been a real pleasure having you on the F1 podcast. And I think this is our first real guest interview. So we really appreciate the time, especially being on the West Coast. And we're really excited for you for the season, what you have get after. And we're going to be behind you 100%. Hopefully we can make it down to Bowmanville or up to Bowmanville for us. But just thanks so much. And we can't wait for what the season has for you.
Yeah, thank you. This was so much fun. I really hope we can, meet in, motorsport. That'd be so cool. Or the Montreal Grand Prix. That would be really cool as well. So maybe both. So whichever comes first.
And I think thank you to everybody that's listened to the F1 podcast, season 4, episode 1. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Threads. I'm just going through the whole list now, and TikTok. Forgot about that. And we'll have Nicole's handles for her social medias in the comment section below. And thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and we'll see you in the next one.